Lopez wants it away.
And it's hit deep to left center. Andrew Jones on the run. This one has a chance. Home run! Mike Piazza, and the Mets lead 3-2. Beto behind the net. Sweeps it in front. He scores! Beto! 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 Stefan Beto! And the Rangers have one more helmet prime, baby! But it's Mount Vancouver! Anthony for three. Puts it in! Next by one with 8.2 remaining!
Joe Namath, number 12, has been the one big sidelight. He's come down here and he says the Jets are going to win. In fact, he doesn't even predict it. He says, I guarantee a Jet victory.
His first at-bat of the game. There's a fly ball deep to left. It's on its way. There it goes. And the Yankees are going to the World Series. Aaron Boone has hit a home run. The Yankees go to the World Series.
This is WHPC Sports Talk on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Come on!
That is right. 4:03 p.m. Welcome to WHPC Sports Talk. I'm Michael Merlo. I'm joined by Matt Leonard, Joshua Umahi, Ross Levine. Small crowd today. Thought I was about to say another name. I wasn't.
Yeah, Anthony's a traitor. So.
Yes, he is. That's fine. I'm sure he's still recovering from a very rough weekend.
Yes.
So
physically and emotionally.
Lots to get to, obviously. I mean, I want to start off positive today with the Mets and the Yankees, and we will do that, but obviously the elephant in the room, I would say, that's the New York Rangers, who were eliminated over the weekend by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Blew a 2-0 lead, and now it's a very sad ending to a season that, yes, like we were talking about before we came on, was not expected, but still hurts a lot.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to start with this. So who said that they were going to lose in 6? Me.
I was just thinking about that. You and Anthony were like, yeah, they're done. It's over. After the game 3, you're like, it's done.
It was over.
They were so negative after game 3.
After game 3, Ross called us that it's over. He was right.
I remember that show. Like, it was still 2-1. I'm sitting here like, what the hell?
Like a week ago today. Last Monday, both of them, Anthony and Ross, had said over in 6. They would win 4 straight, and they did. And
props to them. That's tough to do.
Yeah, we'll get to them in a little bit because, again, I think we should start off with positivity today. I think today it's a beautiful Monday. Monday's a tough day, and it's tougher for Ranger fans, of course. Let's start with the Yankees because, oh boy, are they good. They have their 5th best start ever. They are 44-16 through 60 games. The only other seasons that they were better through 60 games, 1939, 1953, 1928, and 1998. They were all better in those seasons. And they won the World Series in all of those years. Now, it's completely different because of how many playoff series there are compared to when they did that.
Yep.
I mean, 1998, there were a couple more.
98's close.
Yeah, it's closer to what we have, but still.
They were amazing that year. Keep in mind, that was one of their best years in like their history ever.
This is the craziest stat that I read, though, okay? So if the season ended today, right?
Yep.
The Yankees, this team would have the second highest win percentage of all time. Like, their win percentage right now is second of all time if they had played 162 games.
That's crazy.
That's the kind of start they're off to. And, before the show, I really want to do research on this. Is this their best start ever, the New York Yankees? And it's not. Like I said, it's their 5th best start. But, man, we haven't seen a start like this in the wild card era in a very long time, if ever.
Yeah, I mean, if you truly think about it, they've been insane. I understand, and look, I get where there's fans that still have questions as well.
How?
Well, because they never liked the manager. They don't. They never like Aaron Boone. They never have. And
you're saying questions now, though?
No, before the season.
Oh, okay, before the season, okay.
Before the season, that there was questions about the manager, and look, even as unbelievable as they've been, and they've been insanely good, there's always going to be questions: are they playing great because of the opponents, or are they playing great because they're great? It's that's always be a question going forward. Because here's the thing: we're not there yet. We are still ways away from this. if they make the they're going to make the playoffs, but if they lose in the divisional round, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, they lost to, I don't know, the Tampa Bay Rays, who has been a killer on their side for years. There is always going to be questions on who would you beat. If that ever happened, I don't know if it'll ever happen, but let's just say hypothetically that would happen. Because you look who they played. They played the Chicago Cubs. They're horrendous.
Terrible.
Terrible.
They don't even belong on the same
This weekend was
universe.
Embarrassing showing from them.
28-5 they were outscored this weekend.
Yeah, 28-5. So, I mean, that's part of it on the Cubs.
The Cubs are pretty bad.
They're awful. But it's not just the Cubs that they played that has been god awful. It's also been they played the Detroit Tigers. Tigers are terrible. Again, they have played so many terrible teams.
Can I make a counter argument? Because for the most part, they've played everybody in the American League that is a viable opponent. They've already played them. Besides the Houston Astros,
they're
who they're
coming
going
up
to see next weekend. They've played everybody in the American League.
Yes.
And they've dominated everybody in the American League. The American League is terrible this season. So isn't that the thing? Okay, well, the Yankee schedule has not been tough. And if you look, at strength of schedule, if you care about that in baseball, yes, the Yankees' strength of schedule is lower than a lot of the other first-place teams. 100%, I get that. But the American League is so god-awful this season that you are doing this to these opponents in the American League, and you're that much better than everybody in your league. Therefore, the only thing you have to worry about is a crazy upset in the playoffs before you get to the World Series, where, yes, I understand that. There are better teams in the National League. The National League is better right now.
Well, a ton.
But you're dominating your league.
Yeah.
Isn't that something to celebrate and not just go back on the schedule?
And I agree with you. But always, and I never agree with this, your record has been so great, the Yankees, where it's now you're questioning. There's always a complaint.
I get it,
and I don't understand, and I don't agree.
Like Gallo Hicks, so that whole thing.
Yes, and then good. Look, Gallo hits 2 home runs.
And people still complain that they want him. I mean, I get one game doesn't fix the Joey Gallo problem, but people will complain after that game and he didn't do enough or whatever.
But
it's annoying.
What else do you want more? You've already done a lot.
The Yankees could be 16-0, and Yankee fans, and really any fan, I'm not even just pinpointing this on Yankee fans, because you could tell with the Mets. The Met fans, too.
Yeah.
But they're 60 games into a season, and they feel like they're spoiled already. Yankee fans, same thing. Any diehard fan of a very good team, nothing is good enough. They could be 60-0, and there would be something to complain about.
But I always say it all the time. It depends on your team and your history. I mean, that's also a big part of it, too.
But what does your history have to do? What does the 1998 Yankees have to do with the 2022 Yankees? Absolutely nothing.
But the point I'm trying to make, though, is I can understand being spoiled when you don't have a great history. When you have a great history, I can understand. And
I get what you're saying.
But I also would realize, though, those teams that have been around so much losing over the years, there's a lot of reasons for
the fan base is protective of themselves. They don't want to get so far invested that their heart's going to break when something bad happens because they've seen it already. Meanwhile, it's actually so stupid to think that because teams are so much different each and every season that your history means absolutely nothing at this point. The Mets collapsing in 2007 and 2008, and they weren't very good last season, but if you want to call that a collapse, you can. Collapsing and blowing a division lead last season, Met fans actually believe that's going to be the case this season, and it's just not because they're a completely different team. Now, they may collapse, but it's not because they're the same old Mets. Same thing with the Yankees. The Yankees, I get what you're saying, Ross. Fans try and hold on to the history.
Yes, but that's the thing. Especially when it's not good history, they try to hold on to that because they've seen this before.
They want to be prepared almost.
Yeah. So where it's if it does happen,
they don't want to be disappointed.
They don't want to be disappointed. They know what could happen. And look, even though the Yankees have had a great start, look, as many games as you could win the regular season. Let's say they won 115 games, let's just say they had that type of insane type of season. All that goes away when you go to the playoffs.
Yes.
If you lose in the divisional round, let's just say they lost in the divisional round to anybody. Now, I'm not even saying even just the Rays. Let's say they lost to Toronto. I don't know. There's always going to be something. And, that would be disappointing.
Ross, they're on pace to win 119 games, which would shatter the record of the Mariners and the Cubs of 116.
And look what the Mariners didn't won. They lost in the divisional round.
Right, the same thing can happen. The Yankees can lose in the ALCS to the Astros, and it'll still be looked at as a disappointment. Yeah. That's how it is, and that's the standard. And that, if you win 119 games and you don't win the World Series, fine. You can complain. You can be upset. I get that. But, man, would that be something?
Yeah.
119 wins.
Then you lose Aaron Judge to the Mets. That'd be a terrible offseason.
119 wins this team's on pace for.
I'm just going to jump out of left field with that, man. Having a serious discussion. But that could happen, though.
But all seriousness, they are on pace to break that record of the Mariners. And like you guys just said, means nothing how many games you win in the regular season. No. It means, listen, you got to just, and we saw it last season with the Braves. You got to just get to the postseason.
Yep.
That's all you have to do. If you can get to the postseason and you get hot, anybody can win. An 85-win team, which will probably get into the playoffs this season with the way the last couple of wild cards in the American League looks like. If that's the Boston Red Sox and they get hot, we saw it last season.
Well, and the Red Sox don't play better now. I mean, it's not, I mean, I still don't think they're great, but they can make moves. I mean, look, everybody's going to make moves at the trade deadline to try to beat the Yankees. When you have the best record in the league right now, there's always a target
on your back. Yep.
That's part of it. And if teams do get hot, let's say the Red Sox do find a way to beat the Yankees, how does that happen? Or how do the Yankees deal with that? They haven't dealt with adversity this year, the New York Yankees. I mean, yes, they had the start, they were 5-5. Yes, they were not great the first 10 games, but they have not dealt with adversity all season. And normally, unless your name is the Boston Red Sox of 2018, which that team is insane, never dealt with any adversity.
Well,
what do those teams usually do?
I think the Yankees, the injury has it. The injuries have not piled up.
Well, that's part of it.
They haven't had. They lost Stanton for a week and a half or so. That wasn't crazy. They still were able to keep piling on wins.
But they've done that for years. Even with the injuries, they've always won games.
So what would be adversity to you?
Well, no, adversity to me would be if you lost 7 out of 8. That's adversity.
Okay.
If you struggle, if you have a tough stretch where you're let's say you go 3-8 in 11 games. That's adversity. How do you bounce back from that streak? They haven't really had that this year. They were 5-5 in 10 games, but that's early in the season. And yes, they lost 2 out of 3 to Baltimore. I understand that, but they have not dealt with a lot of adversity all season. You would like to almost see what they would do if that would be the case, because you're going to deal with that at some point.
We did a show. Can't believe this. It was myself, Josh, Ross, and Anthony. We did a recorded show because we had an issue.
Yep.
Scheduling wise. And that was the Monday after they lost the series to the Orioles.
Yes.
And I remember the conversations that we had. We got to go back. I think I downloaded that show. We got to go back and listen to that show.
We have it. It's recorded. We have it somewhere.
We do. Because I'll tell you right now, I know it's cliche to say just a complete 160, 360 basically, but it really is how completely different we are viewing the New York Yankees. And let's talk about the stretch they got coming up though, because you talked about adversity. 3 versus the Rays, 3 at the Blue Jays, 3 at the Rays, and then 4 at home versus the Astros. Right there, that is 13 games against, I think, 3 of the best teams the 3 best teams in the American League besides you guys. Besides the New York Yankees.
If they have to show in this stretch that they could beat elite teams right now. They're not going to do this because they are a really good team. If they go
10-3,
well, yes, then then you can't say anything about competition if they go 10-3. If they go the other way and go 3-10, that's not going to happen. They're a very good team. If they go 3-10, there are going to be a lot of questions about who they have played. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I don't think that will happen. But if they go 3-10, there will be questions.
Yeah, yes. I don't think they go 3-10. But
they're not.
It's funny you bring up that show, Mike, because it was actually in my mind thinking about it. I was on there saying they're trying to fit too many. I think I said square pegs around.
And I love that. I love that.
But that's kind of how it felt. You had Gallo, Hicks, you had 4 outfielders. Yep. You're probably gonna have Judge play some center field. It was really, and again they lost to the Orioles, so that was really we were having a lot of lower conversations about this Yankees team. But that stretch that we had coming up back then, it was against like easier, like lesser teams. If I can't remember the teams right now.
I remember. It was like the Tigers, the Royals. Yeah. It was bad teams. It was really awful teams.
So it's just crazy we sit now, like adversely, the Yankees have completely taken off since then, but we're looking at the stretch coming up, like 4 really, really tough series. And it's going to be interesting how they respond this time.
I'm going to say they go 9-4.
That's fantastic.
That's really good.
If you can go 9-4, then the whole thing about competition, you have to say that's over.
And I wouldn't, and I don't think that's an argument. I understand that is an argument with the more casual fan. That's what they keep saying to try and bring the Yankees down. I don't agree with that. Again, you have to play the teams you play. That's number one. The Yankees don't control that. And what they've done with these teams, they've absolutely obliterated them. All right. Very quickly, Aaron Judge, I couldn't get the exact number, but as of 3 days ago, he was on pace to hit 63 home runs, which would break Roger Maris's home run record of 61. And, you know, you watch him over the weekend. He had 2 more on Saturday. He's at 24 now.
What's his contract at?
He's got a lot. He's got a legitimate shot at breaking this record. And a friend brought a scenario to me. He's a Yankee fan, and he's a very pessimistic Yankee fan. Okay?
This Anthony?
No. Oh. I hadn't seen this friend in a few months, and we were talking about Judge, and he said to me, he goes, I'm scared to give him 8 years at $36 million, which would be about $288 million total. And I said, I get that. I mean, the last couple of years could be difficult. And you know what the counterpoint to that was? He said, I would sign him today for 5 years at $200 million. So 40, he would break.
I don't know if he would even accept that.
So more average annual value, less years.
He would break Trout's record of $36 million for a position player a year. That's the record, $36 million. Mm-hmm. He would take 3 less years and be at $40 million a year. Do you accept that?
I would not. Absolutely not. With the season
I'm going the other way.
I would absolutely not accept it. 5 years with the season I'm having.
Think about the money.
$40 million a year.
I understand
he set a new standard.
I understand that.
A new record.
He's not taking that. I'm telling you. I don't think he is.
I say he should.
If he was having like a little bit of a lesser season, I hear you. But like you just said, he's going to break the home run record.
But I wouldn't consider giving him that contract if he wasn't having a season like this. We're looking at it differently. I understand. You want the security. You want the control.
Absolutely.
I understand that, both of you. And that's the way we believe that he's thinking. But if I'm a team and I'm trying to lure him away from the Yankees, because I think the Yankees are going to pony up and give him the $36 million over 8 years.
I agree.
That will be what happens in the offseason. But if I'm a team like the Mets, if I'm a team like the Giants, if I'm a team like the Dodgers, and I really want this guy, that's the kind of offer I go at.
I see what you're saying.
Do you remember when Bryce Harper was a free agent and the Dodgers were offering him like 3 or 4 years at 45?
They offered him a contract. It was about 5 years. I think it was 5 years, $200 million.
Yeah.
And he declined it. He declined
and he signed with the Phillies, which is debatable if it worked out for him. What an MVP, but they're going nowhere.
It worked out for the Phillies. It worked out for the Phillies 100%.
Not for him, though.
He's won an MVP.
They're going nowhere.
He might win another one.
Yeah.
The Phillies have made out on this deal. We got a caller. You're live on WHPC Sports Talk. What's your name and where are you calling from?
What's going on, guys? JM from Massapequa. How's everybody doing?
What's up, JM?
What's going on? So you're talking about the Judge contract right now. I get the hypotheticals to say, let him break the record for the average annual value for the position player, but I really don't see why it would make sense for either side, to be honest with you. From the Yankee side first, I think giving him $40 million a year for 5 years, it doesn't make much sense for a team that already has a $250 million payroll, and they've made it clear that they're willing to spend a lot of money. Obviously, they're already past the first threshold, but I think they're also going to say, all right, we're going to get to a point where we're not just going to be throwing out money like it's growing on trees, which it is for the Steinbrenner family, but, it comes with penalties. But then from Judge's standpoint, I mean, you look back at the Robinson-Cano contract that he got with Seattle. It's the same situation. The Yankees offered him more average annual value. I think they were at like 7 years, 175 or something like that. And Cano ended up taking the 10-year deal with less money per year. But obviously, when that all adds up, you're going to make more money in the long run when you take more years, because who knows what Judge is going to look like 5 years from now as a free agent. You know, he could have had God forbid, a career-ending injury or something bad. And, you know, he's a big guy. Obviously, he's got a lot of moving parts. We don't know how he's going to age over time. So if I'm Judge, I'm just looking for the most money I could get for the most amount of years. And I would forget about the average annual value and look more at the total numbers.
Yeah, and I don't think the Yankees should be looking into that contract. I really don't. That's just, you know, a fan's perspective on not wanting to sign him to an 8-year contract. Again, I think the Yankees will do the 8 years. They were willing to go to $32 million already. They'll most likely go up to $36 a year for 8 years. But if I'm a team, and like Matt said, with trying to lure a big free agent, if you don't want to go that many years, you could go the other way.
If I'm let him go. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. The other thing is, if the Yankees win the World Series too, I think that adds even more pressure for them to sign him back. I think some people could think it's the opposite. You know, you still haven't won that World Series. You want to keep this team together. But if they win the World Series and Judge wins MVP, wins World Series MVP, all of that, I think the fans, there would be a riot outside Yankee Stadium if he goes and signs a 8-year contract with the San Francisco Giants or wherever he's going to go.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
That would be something. Thank you for the call, JM. We appreciate it. I
said earlier, he could stay in New York. Just saying.
Could if he wants. I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna want. I don't know if he could actually. We don't know about that. I don't think he's leaving.
Yeah.
I really don't.
I think, why would you if you're Aaron Judge? Why would you? I mean, unless the Yankees don't give you what you want, unless they will.
Unless they lowball him to an extreme measure.
They'll give him what he wants. I don't think they'll give them a hometown discount, and he shouldn't because he's that good of a player. But, I mean, if you're Aaron Judge, why would you want to leave this franchise? Why?
There's no reason to. And I think it makes sense for both of them because I've heard this argument, well, who means more to who? I think they both mean the same amount to each other. Mm-hmm. Aaron Judge is a massive star, and he's a fantastic baseball player, but part of his stardom is because he plays in New York, on the most basically famous franchise in the history of sports, maybe. And the same thing for the Yankees. They have a section named after him in right field. So the amount that they make off of him just marketing-wise is massive. So, yeah, I think this gets done.
Either way it shakes out, it's like, just think about betting on yourself and cashing out. Though.
Yeah.
Like, it's been incredible. I didn't expect it to be this good at all. Like, not in the slightest.
He didn't cash out. Him not signing that contract, he could have cashed out. I would consider it he cashed out of the bet if he would have signed the contract before the season started.
Yep.
He let it ride.
He took the risk.
He's taking that risk. He's letting it ride.
He's winning.
And he's the last leg is about to pay off. The last leg's about to hit.
There it is.
That's how I look at it. By the way, speaking of gambling, I had a rough day on the Belmont Stakes.
Oh, you went to Belmont?
No, I didn't. I didn't go, and I'm really mad I didn't because I planned on it and I didn't go. But I had a 1-3-6 box. So basically, the 1 horse, the 3 horse, and the 6 horse have to come in 1, 2, 3, no matter the order. And the 2 snuck in at the end. And it came out 1-6-2-3 or something like that.
Oh, so he stuck in third, and your guy was 4. Oh, yeah, my
it was
God.
Brutal. Like the
That's horrible.
I don't want to talk about
That's horrible.
But yeah, that was brutal at the stakes. But yeah, anyway.
Last thing I'll say about the Yankees is you mentioned the judges' chambers in right field. I, as a Mets fan, would personally volunteer if he signed elsewhere to help remove that. Anthony, if you want to call, do it now.
Yeah. That'd be something, right? He's not leaving.
No, he's not. He's staying
The more I think about it, the more I want him on my team so damn badly.
I know.
So bad. He could play.
Save up for Soto. Just save up for Soto.
He plays a good center field, too. That's the craziest part. He's really good in center field. All right, let's talk about the Mets.
Fine.
Let's talk about the Mets quickly. They go 5-5 on the toughest stretch of the season out west. When you really think about it, not only for the Mets, but for the fans. What a brutal stretch. They had 2 games, start before 10 o'clock, 9:45.
Yeah. The start time and those games were when? On ESPN and Apple TV, right?
No, the 4:00 game against the Dodgers on Sunday, and then last night the Sunday night game.
I believe it was like 9:40 or something weird. That was weird.
Yeah. So they're finally done with that, and I think they play 3 more games. Right? Am I right? 3 more games later than 7:40 start.
Yep.
Beautiful. 100 games left or so.
Oh, thank you. Thank
God.
you, Lord. And it's good to get this trip out of the way. The trip's done. And you go 5-5.
We survived it.
And they get a big win yesterday. And I know we keep saying this about the Mets, but yesterday, Ross, is a game that they don't win in any other year of their existence.
No, they don't win that. They don't win that game yesterday. I mean, especially the way it was looking at in the first inning for Walker, it did not look good for him.
He was fantastic the whole outing, as a whole, by the way.
I think he was tipping his pitches in the first inning.
That's what he was admitting. He was tipping his pitches.
And he's had a problem with that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, remember last year against the Yankees, he was known for tipping the pitches.
Meatball after meatball. That outing.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like tipping your pitches and throwing meatballs are different because, I mean, if they know what's coming, it's different than you throwing it terribly.
Self-induced meatball.
Yeah.
How about that?
He pitched amazing yesterday.
He was
Walker.
great.
He was
10 strikeouts is amazing for him. That's like, if anybody bet on Walker to have 10 strikeouts last night, you made a lot of money.
Last season, his strikeout numbers were better than they were to start this season. On ESPN, which, by the way, is the absolute worst broadcast of any sport.
Why? Because
ever.
They're worse than Apple TV, you think?
Do you?
No, I actually think Cohn's the best. I think Cohn's the best in that broadcast.
Because I thought you guys didn't like the fact what he said about Met fans before.
That's one thing he said. As a broadcaster, he's amazing.
Yeah, I'm over that already.
His perspective on Mets fans, I'm not a fan of, obviously, because I am one. But, in the booth, he's great.
He's great.
Here's my thing. The Carl Ravish I just can't stand.
Oh my God.
Eduardo Perez's voice annoys me.
That too, and then the damn player interviews. If the Pete Alonso thing a couple weeks ago wasn't bad enough, the Mike Trout
for 5 innings, maybe it wasn't 5, but whatever it was, that went on for way too long.
They get really unlucky because during this they get the longest inning possible.
Exactly.
And
Trout stayed for 3 innings.
It was a 3-inning thing.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No, because the first one was quick, second one was kind of quick, and hey, stick around, Mike Trout. And
but they do 1 inning where it's where it's all right, we're going to ask him questions for the whole inning.
They started the interview when he was in the on deck circle. Why would you do that?
The problem with ESPN and the problem with ESPN and the broadcast is that they care too much about everything else going on with the game except for the game.
Yeah.
So interview with Buck Showalter before the game, interview with Jeff McNeil before the game, interview in the middle of the game, in the middle of the inning with Showalter again.
Phil Nevin was interviewed last night about Joe Madden.
Phil Nevin. I mean, oh my God. And listen, I understand that Mike Trout's coming up to the plate against Edwin Diaz, right? They're going crazy. ESPN is so happy that they're getting this matchup. Mm-hmm. And they want nothing more than Mike Trout to hit a game-tying home run. Yep. I get that.
Yeah.
The ESPN, that is better for them. I understand that. And I know this isn't a local broadcast.
Right.
But could you not make it seem like you want it to happen? Because I'm still watching the game.
That's the issue, I feel like, with ESPN, with Fox, a lot of those times.
They root for the stars. They don't root for the...
They don't... Well, you know what it is? They're very... Even though they will never admit this, they are biased.
Oh, yeah.
That's just a fact. I mean, look...
Thank God Joe Buck doesn't do the World Series anymore. He was the worst of all of them with that.
Yeah, so that's just the way it is. I mean, look... I sometimes get annoyed when there's a local broadcast, but they're for the other team. I don't love that, but whatever. But in terms of the Mets as a team, though, 5-5, you sign up for it.
100%.
Oh yeah,
you write that, you sign up and you run, because guess what? 0-2, the first 2 games was terrible. They scored 1 run in the 2 games. The fact they went 5-3 after that, that's what you want. I mean, you want that. You want to win that series against the Padres, whatever. Bassett stunk.
You gotta, and the one thing about the Padres and the Dodgers, same thing.
They were the best teams in that West.
They're the 2 best teams in the National League besides the Mets, and you need to win the season series against them. So you have, the rest of those games at home.
Yeah,
you need to win the season series against the big teams, like the Brewers coming into town this week to start tomorrow.
Yeah,
you need to win those games against the Brewers, because when it comes to postseason seeding,
they're on a big skid right now too.
You want to win. You need to win those series because you want to have the upper hand. Let me read a couple of these tweets. This is from Steve Gelbs from before. The Mets just wrapped up a stretch of 22 games in 23 days. 16 of those games were played in Mountain and Pacific time zones. Overall, they went 14-8 during that stretch. That's without Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, Tyler McGill, Pete Alonso for a couple of days, Starling Marte for a few days. That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
And then this thing, which I just saw driving in today, May 18th, after Scherzer went down, the Mets were 6 games up.
Yep.
June 13th today, they're 23 games later, they're 5.5 games up.
Yeah, I mean that's how you have to look at it, right? And by the way, when you're it's not even that the reason why people are not in love with the road trip, because there are people that like that out there. I'm not one of them. I actually accepted 5-5.
100%. I know exactly what you're going to say.
That because the Phillies and the Braves, they're hot. That's the problem. It's not the Mets' fault because you can't control those teams. If you went 5-5 and those teams still struggled, it would have been okay.
You wouldn't jumping for joy, most likely.
And I'm still jumping for joy.
I think you should too,
because you can't. That you knew the Braves were going to get hot.
Yes.
That's number one. They were playing a weak schedule. They're playing the Pirates, who stink. You're playing the A's, who stink. They're playing a lot of teams that stink.
And by the way, if you believe the Braves were not going to get hot, then you're not that smart.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're just not.
I didn't see this coming from the Phillies. I really didn't.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm still not scared of the Phillies. I know they won 9 in a row. Look who they beat. They beat the Diamondbacks. They beat the Angels when they sunk when Manning was still their manager.
Yeah.
I still don't believe in that team. I still think their pitching is not good. Their defense isn't good.
That's why they don't scare me yet. Still,
Nothing changed other than the manager. So sure, there's a better morale in that locker room, but that doesn't help their defense. That doesn't help their bad bullpen.
Yeah.
Their offense, again, it's always scared us.
Yeah.
But pump the brakes on the Phillies for a minute. That's number one. Number two, again, the Braves are always going to get hot. Now, did they have to win 11 straight during the Mets' toughest stretch of the season? Thanks, I guess.
Good timing for them.
Yeah, great timing for them. But yeah, you take this 5-5, and something that not only just this road trip, but Walker. This is excluding Walker because he was very good last night. He was good in the Dodger game too, the first game of the series. The starting pitching's been terrible.
Yes,
terrible.
Well, that didn't. But that's not really surprising. You lose Max Scherzer. McGill was out.
McGill's return wasn't great.
He wasn't. But again,
I can excuse that though. Yeah,
you couldn't expect that. I think you weren't going to push him, and then Peterson backed him up. He did a good job. And look, you couldn't, again, they're going to look for pitching at the trade deadline. We're not at the deadline yet, but they're going to look for it.
Not only in the bullpen, but starting pitching as well.
At least one.
Yes. And I truly believe, and again, I thought that the bullpen, particularly when the games were close, they were good. I actually liked it a lot more.
Over the trip. Unless it was blowouts and whatever. But Lugo looked good yesterday. Yep.
He looked very good. Diaz looked insanely good. He looked great. Yeah. He had 5 strikeouts.
That at bat against Trout too. The what was it, 91 mile per hour slider followed up by the 100 mile per hour fastball.
102.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That was insane.
And then he went upstairs on 102 to get, not even upstairs, it was right down the pipe on Walsh with 2 guys on.
Yep.
In the bottom of the 8th. Right down the pipe, blew it right by him.
He's been so good.
He was so good yesterday.
We won that trade, right? We can say that now?
I am.
Can we say that now?
I don't know yet. I'm not there yet.
Wait 10 years on Kellenick, but yeah.
You know what the problem is?
I still think they made a good out in the trade, the Mets. I do.
The trade was dumb.
They didn't lose.
They didn't. It was a bad trade. You don't make that trade. But right now, it doesn't look too bad. But
I mean, Cano's wearing SpongeBob uniforms. That's not a joke. In the minor league for the Padres. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
95 with the Padres.
Oh, what a fall from grace.
He's wearing it's like a SpongeBob top, like the pants, like SpongeBob's pants. I'm like, first of all, who designed that, and why is Cano wearing it? Like,
it's like you fast forward a career, like where is he at now? Look at who you've become.
And by the way, if Cano is, first of all, I know people are always going to say Cano is one of the best leaders one of the very good vets, one of the good guys in baseball. If he was a great leader, he would have went down to Syracuse and he would have played. I'm sorry, he didn't do that, so I don't buy that. And By the way, the Mets have no problem winning without him. They have no problem.
No.
They're fine without
He
him.
didn't contribute that much when he was here.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what it is? 'Cause I always hear this on the Yes Network consistently on 98.7. So it's like, well, you worry about the vibe. What vibe? Really? Michael K is like,
I
the
think
vibe.
it's fine.
Are you kidding me?
I think it's fine.
I'm telling you, if you listen to his answers, it's so lame. It's like the whole, like, when they get hit by the pitches. Like, the Mets have gotten hit by the pitches all the time. It's like, well, you can get hurt if you go on a fight. Like, really? Like, come on.
He wasn't the only one regarding that Cano stuff, too, because I remember a lot of, we talk about the self-loathing Mets fans a lot.
Yeah.
They were talking about, I'm concerned for Francisco Lindor without Cano's leadership.
Like,
he's going to fall off. I'm like,
him and Escobar are like best friends. You think Cano's the thing? Like
come on now.
And Escobar's a fantastic clubhouse
He's amazing.
guy. And he's getting hot. He's been very good.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was such a weak answer at the time, and it still is now. But
Doesn't make sense.
It doesn't.
And it didn't come to fruition because
No.
he played better, although he's in a little bit of a slump right now, Lindor. But the team has played better as well.
Yeah, well, yeah, and then that's what you heard about a lot of these players that they brought in. Escobar, great clubhouse guy, and now he's doing well with the bat. Marte, same thing, great clubhouse guy. Kanya, they brought Chris Bassett. I mean, they brought in a lot of those guys that
he hasn't been good lately.
No,
Bassett.
but I actually, for some reason, I think when Scherzer comes back, he'll be better.
Okay, and you'll take that, of course. He's got to be better now. We need him now, and he's got a big start tomorrow against the Brewers. He needs to prove.
I'm going to that.
Who's the ace right now with no Scherzer, no
Hold
DeGrom?
on. Ross is going to the game tomorrow, so you can lock in a win tomorrow and a good Bassett start.
Well, if Bassett stinks tomorrow, then you know what? I'm just not going to like you.
It's not your fault. It's not your fault. You should be like, you know what? Bassett's just on something. It's not your fault if they lose tomorrow.
It's not. No, it's not my fault.
It's Bassett just not. Maybe he's tipping his pitches. Who knows? Very quickly, it's been. I don't know why I'm reading that. Okay, so sorry, I'm reading the wrong tweet. So DeGrom, this was on Saturday, has thrown 2 side sessions, and he threw a third. That was Saturday or Sunday. He threw that. And then Scherzer, who we found out on Friday, is very much ahead of schedule.
Yeah,
there's a chance he's throwing
in July, maybe.
There's a chance that he's pitching rehab assignment games in a week from now.
Wow.
So
He's way ahead of schedule.
Do we know where he's pitching rehab? Which level?
I don't know.
Does it matter?
I don't know.
I don't think it matters. For Scherzer, I think.
Yeah, it's Max Scherzer. That's a good point. It doesn't really matter.
He's so used to the competition. I really don't worry about.
If I were them, I'd put him in Binghamton or Syracuse. Keep him nearby if you're home.
You asked for who the ace of the Mets is right now?
Yes. That's a tough question, right?
There's the ace.
With how everyone's pitching right now and the guys who are hurt, who's the ace if you had to put somebody out there right now?
I would probably say right now, and I know I'm going to regret it, but Taiwan Walker.
I knew you would say that. I thought that was going to be most people's answer, but I don't know if I trust him enough.
But he's been really good. He has
been, but he's also been. There have been times where you think he's going to be great, and he goes out there, gives up 10 runs.
I would say Carrasco.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I would have agreed with you before, like last start.
Before last start, yeah, exactly. Everyone's crumbling.
But
that's the way the cookie crumbles.
I believe in Carrasco, though. I know he had that one bad start, but
he's been good.
He's been good, and also you got to look at when you look at this actual start itself. He gave up a home run to Mike Trout. A lot of guys would give up a home run to Mike
That's
Trout.
true. You can't fault yourself for that.
That's fair.
One of the greatest.
Yeah, and Shohei Ohtani. Like, I think a lot of pitchers would have failed in that spot. So I don't think it's like that big of a deal. He's been more good than he has been bad. So again, the problem is, and especially with Chris Bassett, when they're being asked to be the man, they're not as good. And that's what it is. Now, Bassett, you hear him, he's pissed off. I agree with him. You should be pissed off because you've been terrible. But I think there is something to being a number one guy. And he doesn't
have that.
He's never been a number one guy.
He's a good 2. He's a great 3. He cannot be the number 1 guy.
He's just not. And maybe he's tipping his pitches. I have no clue.
They got to fix something quick. Yeah, they need better starting pitching.
He's in a big funk, and he'll. I believe he'll get out of it.
So
I will. I believe it because I could see his competitiveness, but I could also. Hitters are starting to read what he wants to do, and he also has to go deep into games. That's part of just, he's got to, especially because when you think about it, the bullpens pitch a lot. They're going to get gassed.
Yeah, but a lot of the high leverage guys lately haven't. They've had a lot of blowouts, especially on this trip. Diaz hadn't pitched in a week.
And he looked great.
And he was great. Okay, very quickly before we get to we touch on the Rangers for a second and then the NBA Finals. What was I going to go? Oh, 15 games left versus the Braves. That's the division. That's the NL East right there. 15 games still versus the Braves. And, of course, 19 versus the Marlins.
If those 15 games go 10-5 or 9 or 15 games
9-6.
9-6, 10-5.
You got to do that. You got to because they're even right now. They're tied right now 2-2.
Yeah, so 9-6, I would say 9-6 or 10-5. Yeah, and
that would be nice.
The Marlins 13-6.
Got to. They don't beat the Marlins. They don't beat the Marlins. They got to beat the Marlins.
The Marlins are good this year. They're not like, championship good, but they're going to be peskier than normal. Alcantara is another level.
They can pitch, man.
They really can.
They got, when everybody says like this is supposed to be a very good Mets lineup, well, then they have to hit those guys. If you're going to tell me it's a good lineup, then they need to hit those guys, and they need to pitch it well against those guys as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they've hit good pitching all season long, so I'm not concerned on a couple fronts that you guys mentioned. The offense, I really do believe in them. They're going to be steady all season long. Like I'm a true believer in that. And Chris Bassett, like you mentioned his competitiveness, Ross. Like I trust guys like that, guys that take pride in their performance. He knows he's bad. He's not going to, lie about it. He's going to be direct about it. He's going to get in the lab and get to work. Like I'm not worried about Chris Bassett like that.
No, I'm not. I think when part of it is I think he's been asked to be the guy, but I think also he will figure it out. And I think he knows he's just not pitching well. The fact that he knows it, that I like. Right. I like when guys. Like they're not, one of those guys where it's like, well, hey, I pitched really well and I gave up 6 runs. He's not that guy, and I think he'll be fine.
He seems like an accountable dude. So the Mets have a ton of those. So that's why I'm not, like you said, Mike. It's years past Mets is not the case with this team.
Not worried about it right now.
A lot more, way more.
Definitely not worried about it. I have to fix my Venmo. It's so weird. I'll do that later. I don't know what the hell the problem is there. Okay, the last thing. I'm sitting in pizzeria today. And I read a tweet from John Heyman about Francisco Alvarez, Mets' top catching prospect. And I glanced over it, and it said, Mets don't rule out Francisco Alvarez catching at the big league level in 2022. And when I read that 4 hours ago or 5 hours ago, whenever it was, I read it as 2023, and I said, oh, okay, makes sense. They believe that, he could possibly be the starting catcher next season.
Well,
no, he wrote 2022.
Well,
no.
I don't like that.
No.
Well, nobody believes in James McCann. That's a big thing.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you rather... Here's the thing about Alvarez that everyone's been hearing, right? The bat is there. The offense is going to be there for him. His defense leaves a lot to be desired right now.
The defense has gotten better. That's the reason why they are... very
I would just wait till next year or maybe like September.
I mean, yes, I agree. I agree with you.
Maybe call him up for the postseason if he's really hot.
And also, I mean, you've heard a lot. I don't know how true this is, but I heard there's a lot of rumors that they may be in on Wilson Contreras on the Cubs.
No, you don't do that.
It's something that because again, McCann,
with Alvarez in the minors, you can't.
No, but here's the thing, though. I think that would be part of the player that they would get, or David Robertson on the Cubs.
They cannot trade Alvarez.
No.
You're saying get Contreras or Robertson.
I thought you said that would be the player you would give
up. No, the player they get on the Cubs because the Cubs are terrible.
No, the Cubs are terrible, and also like David Robertson. I actually here's my hot take. David Robertson will be a Met after July.
I forgot he was still pitching. He's so old.
Good.
He's been good this season,
he's
correct?
Old, but he's good. He's been very good this year for the Cubs. He can close. He could be an 8th inning guy.
The Reds have some surprisingly good bullpen arms, and they're going to be on a fire sale.
You know who also has some really good bullpen arms?
Who?
The Orioles.
Yeah. Oh, they could really pitch in the bullpen.
Who do they have? They have
that
I can't name anybody over there. I've seen videos. Some of these guys are crazy. They're young.
A couple of them are younger. There's one of them that's an older guy.
I don't care if they're pitching well this year. Take them.
They may be inclined to move those guys because why not?
They're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere. I don't know how much years or control they have. You're right. They might want the control on those guys, but I don't know. If you're a rebuilding team that's not, if they were close, maybe in a year or two, and they have all these control over these younger relievers, I'd say fine. They're not close.
Do you think Mancini goes anywhere? Not the Mets, but anywhere.
They're only, I know the Orioles are just. I mean, they're pretty bad.
Yeah.
but they're only 9 games under 500. Like you don't. That's not awful for them. I mean, I know like they're bad, but they're not like as bad as you think. They're
I meant to say that
under.
before when we were talking about the recorded show. They really haven't been that bad.
Yeah, they turned it around.
They really have not. But they weren't. Maybe they just weren't that bad then. I mean, they have beat the Yankees.
They
beat good teams.
They do. They beat good teams. They're not tanking. Let's put it that way. Like they were known for tanking, being like we're pathetic. We're going to lose 100 games every year. They're not doing.
They're not doing what the Athletics are doing right now.
No, they will be good in a few years. It's going to be a lot, but it's gonna be a few years before they get.
I have a weird comp for the Orioles in the situation they're in right now. This is just a little out there, but the Orioles, if anyone knows anything about college sports in this past year in college sports, the Orioles are like Purdue in that they only exist to knock off good teams.
Well, maybe. Oh, right, college football, yes.
Yeah.
They could be. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
You are listening to WHPC Sports Talk here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Michael Merlo. I've got Matt Leonard, Joshua Umahi, and Ross Levine. Very quickly, Ross was 100% correct about the Rangers. The pessimism, I don't know if it was a thing to try and get them to win, but it really was, and I keep seeing these TikToks. I know it's stupid, but it is a little emotional because this was a young team, and we could say all we want about the fact that this is a young team and they have so much, such a bright future. Nobody knows if they're ever going to get close again. There is a chance they never get closer to the Stanley Cup final. There's no guarantee.
Well, define never. In this window?
In this window.
Okay.
You would like to think that you can get back, but there's no guarantee whatsoever.
No, look.
There never is.
There never is a guarantee in any sport.
Unless you're the Lightning.
Unless you're the Lightning.
Who will beat the Avalanche, by the way?
I hope so. The Lightning will beat the Avalanche. And this is what I'll say. If they don't get far again, well, then this year was a fluke. That means this year. Then it was never. Well, it was never good to be true, or it was never to
too
be
good to be true.
Too good to be true. It was never to be. Then I will say they will win a Stanley Cup. The New York Rangers, I think in 2025 or 2024. I think
I see 24. A few years away.
A few years away. We are not there yet. You could see the cracks on the team being exposed as you got into the postseason. You got to remember too. You're a young team. You're facing against Hall of Fame type players. Another thing too is they play a lot of tough series. I mean, Carolina was a tough series.
Yep.
Pittsburgh was a tough series.
All of them went to 6 or 7. They were exhausted. I'm saying the Lightning series was 6, but yeah.
They were all exhausting series, grind out overtime games. I mean,
Lightning got a lot of rest because they swept the what am I thinking?
They swept Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. I think they ran out of gas. That's a big thing too. You play 20 games in 40 days. I mean, that is you're just it's going to get exhausting. And again, these are not excuses I'm giving. These are just facts. I mean, you're a young team. You're not used to this. I think that caught up to them. And also, I do think there's certain players on this team that you have to look in the mirror and saying, are these guys playoff guys? I mean, Panarin, I don't know if he's a playoff guy. Kreider, I think he's more good than bad. He had a great regular season, but postseason it wasn't great. Sabanjit had his moments, but they were just too much underachieving. I mean, Ryan Strome was terrible in the playoffs, 2 goals. He's a UFA. He's probably gone. I think he played himself off the Rangers.
Yeah, he had to.
And also, they have to get more stingy defensively and protect their goaltender. That's a big thing. They did not play hard for Igor enough. They need to play a little bit stingier defensively, and if they do that and they get maybe one more great goal scorer, one more elite defenseman maybe even, they're right there. I think they're a piece or two away, and I think that caught up to them against Tampa Bay.
They certainly did not lose that game, or really the whole series, because of their goaltender. I thought he was great in Game 6.
He was great the whole series. He was outstanding.
And I didn't think Vasilevsky played that great. I think his defense played better than he did.
There weren't a lot of quality shots against him.
Right. Because Rangers really got nothing on him. I remember it was like the second or third period, and they had scoring chances.
Yeah.
Tampa had 10 at that point, and the Rangers had 2.
Yeah. that's why, I know, and that's what's embarrassing.
That's pretty bad.
It's bad. I mean, it fell apart for them, and it just, it's why I never like listening to because they always have this during each intermission on ESPN. They talk about each goaltender, or like one or the other, and I'm like Vasilevsky at times is outplayed. It's just no, that's not true at all. Vasilevsky's had to do nothing in that whole round. Shesterkin had to do everything
to keep his team in these games.
They got him to 6 games.
Yeah, and the Rangers on their post game was actually smart, and they said I would take even Igor over Vasilevsky.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a lot. If Igor was on the other side of the net, he'd be winning, and that's just a fact. I mean, so you cannot compare numbers and goaltending. It's such a dumb stat. It's like pitchers in baseball. It really is.
If it's going by wins, it doesn't matter how many wins you have.
Yeah, I mean, look at
it's your team.
Look at your team,
and
I'm telling you,
they'll be back.
They will be back
because of their goaltender.
Because of their goaltender, and Igor was outstanding these whole playoffs. He will bring them back. I have no doubt about that.
We talked about Ross and his pessimism about the Rangers, and again, you were 100% right. That Rangers fan after Game 5 that sucker punched that Lightning fan.
Oh, God.
I think he had his hopes up a little bit. And
that's why I don't, because this is
got crushed a little bit.
I don't. Look, there was Rangers fans that were pissed off, rightfully so, after tough losses. But I always go back to what was expected by this team to start the season. I understand expectations change. But when you really look at how young this team and how up-and-coming this team is, they will be a really good team for the next 5 seasons. And I have no doubt they will win a Stanley Cup with Shesterkin in net. That guy, he is that good. And I think they will upgrade around him. I don't know how. Part of it, get Strome out of here. He stinks. I don't want to see that guy again. He consistently misses open nets. He missed the open net in Game 5. I don't want that guy on that team.
Ross, let me ask you. Sorry, Mike.
Last question before we do a little preview of Game 5 tonight, the NBA Finals. Do you think that he is better and will be better than Hank?
Ooh.
I'm actually. This is a hot take. Yes,
I think.
Okay.
I think he's going to be better.
Do you think he's got a shot at the Hart this year? Any shot at all?
I think he. Well, the Vezina, yes. The Hart.
Vezina, yes, his. Yeah.
It's already locked up.
Hart. I don't think he'll win it. But
second place.
Ooh, he's that good.
Who wins them, McDavid or Matthews?
Probably McDavid. They're both amazing. It's so tough with wingers and goaltenders.
Yeah,
but it's
like a pitcher winning MVP, right? Same kind of thing.
Yeah, because you don't have any control over anything else. Yeah, just you. Igor is that good. For people that knock Shesterkin at times for the 5-hole goals at times against the Lightning, they're nuts. I mean, really.
You're just trying to pick something to.
Yeah.
How about the team? Can you defend better for the guy? Then there's 5 other players out there. Defend for him.
All right. Before we wrap this up, Josh, we've got a big Game 5 tonight.
Yes.
I think Boston's going to win tonight.
Really?
Ooh, just because I think the series is just so weird and flip-floppy.
Yeah.
Because then I think Golden State...
It alternates,
Golden State will come back and win Game 6, but what do you think tonight?
Then Boston wins Game 7?
It's tough because we talk about Steph Curry and how he's just... shot the lights out this series, and then you have Ime Udoka saying, "Oh, I'm not going to change any of my defensive rotations." But that's what they've done all season long. So I get that. But it
is tied.
He's killing you.
But everybody else isn't.
That's true. That's their game plan, though. They're going to take.
Let Curry go off. One guy's not going to score 150 points.
But at times, he scores very loudly.
Curry.
So it's like that give and take, and him saying that. I don't really expect much different. Like the Warriors in their home crowd. I actually still have it going 7.
Okay.
I got the Warriors tonight. Celtics big in Game 6. And then I think we get a classic Game 7 at the Chase Center.
No doubt a Game 7 will happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it'll be great. I can't tell you how the rest of these games are going to be. I would guess they're not going to be that competitive, but Game 7 will be a classic.
Mm-hmm. I saw a tweet before. I'm trying to find it, but it really spoke to how evenly matched this series was. It was wild. I really hope I can find it. It's like it says something like that the Warriors are at 4 more rebounds than the Celtics all series. The Celtics have made 3 more field goals. Just telling how evenly matched this series is. I mean, we said it when the series started. This was really going to be a classic series. Two evenly matched teams, two teams kind of built in the same way, built, not bought,
Yep.
I think tonight's going to be the best game of the season. Like the whole season.
Wow.
The whole entire NBA season.
Bold.
The classic we're going to remember from the 2022 NBA season will be tonight. I think tonight's going to be a nail-biter.
All right.
And I got the Warriors.
It's in Golden State, right?
Yeah.
Tonight in Golden State.
I'll take the Warriors
There you
again.
go.
Warriors close tonight. Celtics in the blowout game 6. And then we got game 7.
A classic Game 7.
Yes. Can't wait for it.
That would be nice. Steph Curry was unbelievable the other night, and I saw a video of him. He was just like embracing everything. He was right in front of all reporters and cameras, and he just went like screamed.
Yeah.
It was great.
Can I say something about basketball before we wrap up?
Sure.
It's not about the finals, but it's about because we love to make fun of the Lakers, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So Anthony Davis admitted out on social media that he has not shot a basketball since he thinks April 5th.
Ah, there it is. There it is. The guy who has his commitment to basketball has been called into question.
He's like, and the way he said it, I haven't shot a basketball since April 5th. And I'm like,
why would I? Why
Confidently. It's just my profession. It's just what I do for a living. Why would I be
Could you
practicing?
imagine your doctor is about to take you into surgery and they go, man, I haven't done this in 2 years. Like,
huh?
I've just been sitting around.
I'm going to get a second opinion. Like,
I've just been sitting around doing absolutely nothing for 2 years.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
Just Twitch gaming. That's his profession.
I've been playing video games for 2 years.
there you go.
Straight close, Davis. Come on now. Come on, man.
Interesting. Interesting stuff. I think that's going to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Listen. So we have, I'm trying to think. I'm having a brain fart for a minute. So Game 5 is tonight.
Correct.
In
Yes.
Golden State. So on ABC as well, we're going to have this Stanley Cup.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
So now we got to interchange for a couple games here.
That's right.
All right.
I forgot about that.
Wednesday, ABC is the Stanley Cup.
Game
That's
one.
correct.
Thursday will be Game 6.
Okay.
And the NHL's normal, and they'll go every other day. So Friday will
It'll
be
somehow match up if it
Game
goes
2,
long enough. Yeah.
and then Saturday will be Game 7. So we're looking at a Game 7 for this series if we get it on
Beautiful.
Saturday.
Beautiful.
That's nice. That's Saturday
I
night.
cannot wait.
Friday's
so-
show is going to go crazy if he goes to Game 7.
Oh yes.
So
oh yes. We're gonna be turning up.
The
for
NBA
real.
scheduled this the right way. All right, that's all the time we've got for today. Thank you for listening to WHPC Sports Talk. Can't speak right now. For Matt Leonard, Joshua Umahi, and Ross Levine, I'm Michael Merlo here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Have a fantastic rest of the night, everybody.